And what has all this got to do with us? Well, teaching and storytelling can meet and merge. Stories use language, and it is language that we are teaching. In our too literal society, children ought to listen to, read, act out, and discuss stories for the benefit of their language skills, and not only. Stories teach us about the world and are a good way to implant knowledge, since they give context, which comes into our students' minds. Stories powerfully hook and hold human attention, because at brain level, whatever is happening in a story is happening to us, not just them. When told a story, children are not simply spectators. They are participants, transported into a parallel universe, identifying with the struggles of the protagonist, experiences, and the adrenaline is rising up. Storytelling, unlike typical paper and pencil schoolwork, addresses most of Gardner's intelligences and brings into play the kinesthetic element. Stories virtually always judge wrongdoing and influence our moral logic. They rarely give us morally neutral presentations of violence. When the villain kills, his violence is condemned. So stories shape our minds without our knowledge, without our consent. And remember, the end product should be children coming up, acting their stories. That's learning through doing. Okay, the power of stories. Stories, whether delivered through films, books, or video games, activate our neural pathways. Fictional stimuli fire at our neurons. Isn't this why we react the way we do when we see a film? All these emotions, why do we treat fake things as real? We think we know how to separate fantasy and reality. But researchers say we keep both fiction and non-fiction in the same mental being. The more deeply we are cast under a story spell, the more potent the influence. A strong story has got sculpting power and temporarily softens our sense of self. And little doses of stories shape our personalities, affect our personalities. The story of telling. Now, it started from cave drawings and oral tales, evolved to clay tables, shaped itself around handwritten scripts, found its way into printed books, livened up in movies, made star appearances in television. Stories have never been static. They are now flying on cyberland. A new breed has arisen. The story game, or shall I call it the game story. Because of it, young people from different countries all over the world enter fictional worlds. And not as passive imaginaries, as in traditional fiction, but as role players, and are part of cooperative storytelling. Games like Forest of Doors and Dungeons and Dragons are an example. The thought that they are worshipped means that we won't grow up. We outgrow nurseries, but not Fantasyland. And reality seems to have a problem, because we now dream a character and we act it inside.